NATO chief. West must brace to support Ukraine in a long war.
Here's a summary of the article.
Vladimir Putin has no immediate plans for peace in Ukraine, and so the West needs to brace itself to supply lethal aid to Kyiv for a long time to come, NATO's Secretary-General has warned in an interview with The Guardian. Jens Stoltenberg said the Russian president was engaged in a war of attrition, and said he wanted NATO members to agree that spending 2% of GDP on defense is a minimum at the alliance's next summit, in the Lithuanian capital, Vilnius. The fierce fighting, currently centered around Bakhmut, in eastern Ukraine, demonstrates Russia is willing to just throw in thousands and thousands more troops, to take many casualties for minimal gains, the NATO head said. As a result, the US, UK, France, Germany and other Western states had to be prepared to support Ukraine with weapons, ammunition and spares over a long time. Heading into what is expected to be his final summit, Stoltenberg said he wanted NATO members to be prepared to spend more to reverse Russia's invasion. A serious effort by China to act as a mediator in the conflict must be accompanied by an attempt to understand Ukraine's perspectives, the NATO chief said, and to engage with President Zelensky directly. The lowest point during that time was Russia's invasion of Ukraine, a shock, but not a surprise, given Moscow's long history of military intervention in Georgia, Syria and, he emphasized, Ukraine, where the first Russian incursions were in 2014.
This post received a score of 10,000, with an upvote ratio of 93%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Then treat it like a long war. NATO should be at full wartime production by now. It's been over a year. That means increasing production of everything from bullets and artillery shells to tanks and aircraft, as if it is a long war and you're fighting it, not just the Ukrainians. Find a way to give them 2,000 tanks, or however many they need to really make a difference, and corresponding amounts of other weapon systems. Dribs and drabs only drag things out.
The pessimist in me sees this as tightly controlled slow boil to fry the frogs in Kremlin and collapse Russia as result. The parameters are avoiding Ukraine from losing the war and avoiding escalation into nuclear warfare. If the will was there to end the war, Ukraine would have been provided with the amount of military hardware that would have made Russia realize they don't stand a chance anymore. Russia backing off to lick their wounds and coming into terms with just how fucked they are now will just back them into corner and will lead into another war sooner than later.
I think Biden and others are more concerned by the nuclear side of that equation in the memory of the Cold War than Ukrainians are, or than most believe that the US is. So it may be that maximal support is not seriously being considered in the last year, rather than that moderate support is chosen as some Machiavellian ploy.
We also provided them updated command and control systems. That ceased happening in 2014 when Russia invaded Crimea. Nuclear weapons need to be serviced fairly regularly. The longer this goes on, the higher the chance that the Russian arsenal is ineffective, and thus, the lower the risk of sending better arms.
I think the reality is that even a 1 in 100 chance of one warhead hitting a city is big deterrent against doing anything lightly. The thing which balances against that is that if you let an aggressor run riot, you lose allies and get even more wars and actually higher nuclear risk than if you were calm but firm. So we may be in a U-shaped risk function where Biden believes that we increase our risk by either being more assertive or more accommodating. If Japan were not doubling its military budget, and we were not building up there, it would increase the chance for war.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you. I will note that the destructive effect of small numbers of nuclear weapons is fairly overstated in the media compared to other WMDs or wanton bombing tactics. Regardless, I think your assessment is roughly correct.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.